Hello, 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 filter-free America listeners. We are back together again, and I could not be happier that we're back together because I need you. You guys apparently need me. Together, we come together in this like orgy of content provider, content consumer needs, you know. We come together and we make hot, sweaty, nasty, sticky, clingy podcast love to each other via my mouth recordings in your ear holes. I don't know. I think this metaphor has jumped the rails a little bit, and maybe we should just talk about what we need to talk about. And that's today's episode. Today's episode, or whenever you're listening, could be tonight's episode, wherever you're pushing play, right? I don't care. Whenever it is. This episode. Let's do that. This episode of the Filter Free America podcast is starting. There we go. That's enough rambling from the beginning. Our guest, this one is going to, this is going to be super interesting. It's going to be super cringe creating, and when I mean cringe, not because the guest is cringy or anything, but the subject matter is going to make your skin crawl and give you that type feeling. Okay. My guest is Josh. I can't give you his last name. We got to keep a little bit of secrecy here, and as I explain, you should understand why. What Josh does is he hunts pedophiles, not with a gun, not with a bow and arrow, not with a nuclear device, but basically he does what Chris Hansen did. Remember Chris Hansen? Chris Hansen, the guy? No, not the Hansen brothers, not the MMMBop guys, not them. No, Chris Hansen, the guy who did the To Catch a Predator. You guys remember that show? Is it still a show? I don't even know. I don't watch TV anymore, so I don't know. It could still be a show. But basically, Josh does the same thing, just doesn't get the TV credit and the huge paycheck and all the the rewards that came to Chris Hansen for this. But he does the exact same thing. He has started this group here in Minnesota called Predator Hunters USA. Predator Hunters USA. And let me go ahead and give you the website real fast, too. I think I wrote down on this other page of notes. Yeah. PredatorHuntersUSA.com is the website. Predator Hunters USA altogether.com is the website. They also have a Facebook page by the same name, right? What he does is he and his team, he has a wonderful team. It's not just him by himself. He's got a growing team. I think they're around, what do you say, 30 plus people, I think, of people that act as decoys, and they act as security. They act as administrative types and people that help, communicate the information that they've gathered to local law enforcement. All right. And so that's this team called Predator Hunters USA. And Josh is kind of the front man to the whole deal. But, they do just like what Chris Hansen was doing on that show. They use, I believe, mostly social media, from what I understood from the interview. And they have these decoys act as underage girls and boys, and basically kind of set out traps for pedophiles, right? Pedophile, big fancy word for kid fucker, okay? Yeah, so I don't remember how, I'm sorry, I'm rattling the papers in the microphone. I don't remember how I found him. I think it was just a post on Facebook, but I think that's how I found it. And I've heard of these groups before, and it was cool to know that there's one operating right down the street from me, down the street literally, but a couple cities down from me. And I had to contact him and try to get him on to do a podcast, and he agreed to do it. So that's awesome. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, basically, everything from the ground up, why he got into it. We're going to ask how he does it. We're going to ask about his team and, get a couple of, stories about, how it all went down. So yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting episode from that angle. But again, it's going to make your skin crawl when you start understanding how many people just this one group has busted. I mean, they've only been operating as a formal organization here in the Twin Cities area since October. Let's say October, November. That's not even 3 months, bro. That's not even 3 months. I don't even think it's 2 months. I think it started in the middle of October, but whatever. Right. And if you follow their Facebook page, dude, he's like catching people like almost every day. Right. I'm not exaggerating here. Like just, in the meantime, between when my first contacting their group and him sitting down and recording, I must have saw, and that was maybe over a span of 2 weeks, I must have saw 8 dudes caught with their predator hunting activities. Right. And that's just here, Twin Cities area. I think they go a little bit into Wisconsin and they, northern Minnesota if they have to. But I think, and we talk in the interview that since he started in October, I think he's got something like 50 something busts, in that time. I knew that this was an issue. I knew that this was a problem. I did not know that it was on this scale, right? I guess maybe I did, and maybe I just didn't, I don't know, kicked it out of my head or just tried to ignore it or whatever. But this has been eye-opening. And if you, after this interview, you go to their Facebook page or their website or whatever, and you look at some of the videos that they've shot, and keep in mind, all these videos are live streamed, right? So when they set up a meet and the pedophile in question, or alleged pedophile, let's be all PC and legal about this, I guess, agrees to meet, what they do, him and his team, security team, they go and they go to the meet and they film everything. Like when they're waiting in the cars where they're stalking their prey, which are the predators. They film all this stuff. So you're in the car with them. You see every bit of it. And it's, goddamn, if you're a reality TV fan alone, this should be interesting to you just to see it from this angle, because this is a little bit more in depth than like what the Chris Hansen show was. The Chris Hansen show is like, yeah, we've made contact. You see a little bit about the decoy stuff, but it's mostly just shot in a fucking kitchen with cookies on a plate, right? That's really all it is. But these guys, I mean, they filmed the whole thing. Mainly, it's not just done just for the views and all that stuff. It's done for security purposes. Also. They want the whole situation to be filmed so they're not hurt, and they want the whole situation filmed so they aren't legally liable for anything that the predator guy or gal makes up. So like, oh, they beat me up. No. That's not what it's about. It's about exposing them, collecting information. He goes the extra step of even providing the person that they bust a card with information on it so they can seek help, to treat this, whatever this is, this addiction, this defect, this whatever it is, to treat it. And of course, then after that, they turn over the information that they gather to law enforcement. But we go into all the details about that. So yeah, this is going to be a weird one. Not the longest episode we've put up. It's a little bit shorter. And I knew Josh, I could sense he was a little bit nervous. So, he's just a dad, right? He's just a dad, a dude with a regular job who's out doing this. So this is probably all new to him too. And so maybe you can sense a little bit of nerves in there, but he gets a little bit better as the podcast goes and loosens up a little bit. But definitely you get to hear from the man himself, and I think this is going to be really good for their group, and I hope you guys support their group and their activities that they do, and either by sharing videos that they post to get the message out there, or even by contributing to their organization, which is funded completely out of pocket or with donations given, or they also sell some merchandise and things like that too that promote their group, Predator Hunters USA, and all that money gets reinvested in the work that they're doing. So it's awesome to see them doing that. So a group of people come together and sacrificing their time, putting themselves at risk. I mean, don't get it wrong. I mean, I think we talked about it in the episode, or either maybe before episode, is like, dude, this could be dangerous. You catch the wrong dude at the wrong time and he could have guns or whatever. And yeah, so it's a crazy effort. And I say a brave effort on both Josh's part and the part of his whole team for doing this. So that's what the episode is about. Let's knock out the business stuff real fast. Move on. Let's talk about our sponsor real fast. Simplewebsite.us. 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 Those are the people that you want to contact if you plan to use Squarespace to build you a website. Okay. Why do you want to contact them? A couple reasons. Let's say number one, I always use myself as the example because it truly is. I am an idiot when it comes to computers or anything technical. Trust me, the people who have helped me set up the podcast recording and who come over to my house and hold my hands through everything. Hi, Ian. Hold my hands through this whole process. Understand that I'm a technology idiot, right? I can barely turn my PlayStation on, right? So what Simple Website did for me is they built the website for Filter Free America from the ground up completely. They did everything. Also, while we're talking about this, the website's done. You can go to the website right now, filterfreeamerica.com. Filter Free America. America always intentionally misspelled with a K. .com. Filterfreeamerica.com is a website. And so you can just go there and see for an example of the work that Simple Website did from ground up. I told them exactly what I wanted. I wanted a very minimalistic look with just the stuff I wanted on there, not a lot of extra crap, and I wanted it easy to navigate or whatever. And you can see an example of their work at filterfreeamerica.com. Okay. So that's the most they can do for you, right? They can do ground up, build up, and then they can do, if you look at my website and it's like, well, I'd want some other stuff. Just know that it's built the way I wanted it to be built. Okay. Because if you want more, things going on in it, they can definitely do that. But again, I was going for a very minimalistic both look and for function, but whatever. But also, they can do other things, like they can just help you a little bit. So you just need a little bit of help. They'll be happy to do that as well, too. Or if you just want to completely do it on your own, that's completely fine. But guess what? You can go to simplewebsite.us, right, and watch some free videos and get some free tips and tricks on how to do it on your own, right? They're like, hey, here's some free shit. Just take this free stuff and do it on your own. That's completely fine, because guess what? We've got more here in-house to help our customers with if that time they do decide to invest in our services. And I definitely suggest you do. Because number one, even if I knew how to do this, it's nice to have a team of builders, right, that I can just, shoot a message to, like, hey, I got a problem with this, whatever, and boom, they fix it for me, right? And they work on it. They're constantly, kind of refining my idea right now. Like, we've got some changes in plans, and we're going to add a store to it, so I can sell the t-shirts and my CD when it gets released and all that stuff. So it's going to be a growing and evolving project there too. So it's just a great company of really cool, down-to-earth people that are working very hard to provide an excellent service to their customers. And I appreciate their effort in supporting the podcast. And also shouts out to Ryan for the birth of his baby. That just happened recently. Ryan is my contact with simplewebsite.us, and so yeah, just wanted to give him a little shout out for there. But yeah, simplewebsite.us, simplewebsite.us. One more time, because why? Because 3 times in a row, for some reason, it clings to our brain after 3 times in a row. I read that somewhere in a book or something. Simplewebsite.us. That's where you need to go. Anything else? CD update. We'll talk about that. I should be doing the very last editing session with Minnehaha Recording, Tony Williamette, this coming Tuesday, which is, today is December 16th as I'm recording this. You're probably not going to get it till next Tuesday. So probably, I don't know, whatever. It's going to be pretty soon. And then the CD will be done, ready to go to the next step, which is packaging and all that as well, too. And then we move on to distribution. So yeah, the CD is fantastic. Fantastic. I love it. It was literally the best performance I've ever done. And I was lucky enough to catch it on CD recording night. So that was really good. So I'm very happy with that. Anything else? Oh yeah, I will be at the Cinema Grill working with headliner Jeffrey Fauser, very funny gentleman from here in the Twin Cities on 12/25, December 25th at the Cinema Grill. I'll be featuring. Jeff will be headlining. It's going to be a great time, fun show. It's always a fun show there at Cinema Grill. If you can't make it to my show, go to Cinema Grill's website. It's in New Hope, Minnesota. Check out all the future guests or headliners they've got coming in. They always have great shows, so support them. It's a great, cool little comedy venue. It's literally in a movie theater. They just turn one room of the movie theater becomes a comedy club on the weekends. And there's they had Josh Blue in there. They've had Louis Anderson in there. It's you're going to see some great comedy in this venue. So it's a great place to check out. And I've got some other gigs coming up in January. Of course, I think I'm going to be at Cinema Grill again. Again, featuring, I don't know who I'm featuring with that week, but it's January 19th. I'll be there again. And then also another show, I think I've mentioned it before on a past podcast, end of January, last weekend of January, January 25th and 26th, I will be co-headlining with a fantastic comedian and headliner and a former guest of this podcast, comedian Daryl Horner. We are both going to be at Looney's Saloon, at the Looney Saloon. That's a comedy club located in Stables Casino in Miami, Oklahoma. Miami, Oklahoma, not Miami, Florida, but Miami, Florida, please, I will come to you too if the money is right. But yeah, Looney Saloon, located in Stables Casino, Miami, Oklahoma. Just Google that shit if you need to buy tickets. If you're local, you probably already know what it is anyway. So whatever, figure it out. Me, Daryl Horner, co-headlining, throwing down some jokey jokes together. Love working with the dude. Dude's a funny dude. He's actually the MC on my CD recording, so he's going to be there too. And I love the guy to death. So he's going to be a super funny guy. I'm going to be down there. I'm going to be making you laugh too. We're going to be hanging out. We're going to be having fun. Hey, if anybody thinks they want to be a guest on the podcast, I will have my podcast recording equipment with me because I have already planned to record an episode with somebody who I know there. But I might have time to record another one. So if you're one of those people who's got a crazy story about your life, or maybe you got a super interesting job and you think that your story will work great on this podcast, contact me as soon as possible so we can arrange that. Again, last weekend of January, I'm going to be down there, January 25th and 26th, Miami, Oklahoma, at the Looney Saloon Comedy Club, located upstairs in Stables Casino. Is that everything? Did I get it all? Did I get all that stuff? Yeah, it's all there. Okay, now all we need is a name for this episode so we can kick it off. And I don't know. This is going to be a pretty easy one when I hear it. The guy's name is Josh, and he works for Predator Hunters USA. He created the group, and he catches pedophiles. So we don't want to get too clever with this. We want the name of this episode to truly illustrate what's going on. And I think the title of this is going to be I Hunt Pedophiles with Josh. How about that? That's simple, to the point. It is what it is. Okay, we're going to agree on that. Everybody vote. It's just me in the room, 2 dogs. I vote for yes. The dogs don't seem like they care. Okay, whatever. I Hunt Pedophiles with Josh from Predator Hunters USA, right here on Filter Free America. Let's go. All right. So, Josh, why don't you start by telling me first off, what triggered your desire to do this? Was there an event? Did something happen to you or a loved one? Something that said, I got to do something more than just hope this problem goes away?
Well, there's so basically how I found out about it was there's a organization, a group down in Florida called TUD, the Ultimate Decoy. There's also a organization in northern Idaho called Hunted and Confronted, and I used to watch them.
Are these independent groups kind of like you? They're not.
Yep. They're the same
organizations, or anything?
Correct. They're parents, fathers that go out and expose child predators, and I watch them kind of start from the beginning and build their way up. And so I was determined to do something here in Minnesota to see what we can do as far as keeping children safe and exposing child predators. So I just started, looking into the laws as far as, what you can and can't do, and talking to attorneys.
That's a great first question. I didn't even think about that. So what legally can you do? Like, I'm assuming everything that you're doing is what you can legally do.
Correct.
But what law guides this? What do you?
There's a lot of
different. By?
There's a lot, like recording wise. Can't record inside public places or inside of places. I mean, there's a lot.
You can record them outside, but you can't record them inside.
Correct.
Okay.
So then there comes the issue of or the place that owns it, they may not want it recorded, whether there's people there, other people. So there's a lot that went into it, as far as what our decoys can say, can't say, as far as whether decoys contacting them, basically just like on how the whole procedure works.
Okay.
We want to follow what law enforcement does when they do their operations. We want to be similar to what they do. That way, when they get a conviction, it's because they did it this, and this way. And that's what we want to do. We want to be able to hand it over to law enforcement on a silver platter. It's easy for the DA. It's easy for the prosecutor just to have everything there similar to what they're used to in their cases, instead of us doing it differently. Okay. So
let's start with this then. Let's start with take me through, like, as much as you can, a beginning to end investigation to bust. Like, how does the decoys make contact, as much as you can tell without divulging
Correct.
anything that's going to ruin your operation? Just take me like a beginning to end of what you need to, precautions, things like that.
Right. So how it begins is, it starts out with a decoy, and what a decoy is a woman or male that is 18 years of age or older that portrays himself as a child. They use their real pictures. Me as
Is
a
that part of the
decoy-
legalese of the thing, that they have to really represent themselves? But
Nope.
okay.
Nope. I use other decoy pictures. So I will use, we've had followers that sent us in pictures of themselves that just don't want a decoy, but they want to help out by sending in their pictures, and we use those. So we get written
Pictures
consent.
of them like when they were younger?
Yep. Or maybe they're 18 now
And they just look young.
They look young, but they don't have they're in college. They don't have the time to do it, but they want to help out the movement. So that's what they did, is sent us in pictures. We get written consent, and I may use
I didn't
those
think
pictures.
about that. That's crazy. You got it. Yeah. Okay.
So then the decoy will go and set up accounts online, different dating apps, Facebook, Snapchat. There's lots of them. Meet Me, Grindr. There's tons of apps out there. And so our decoys go and set up the apps, and basically they sit there. It's a decoy. Right. We set them up, put pictures up, and we wait. We never make first contact. So we would never message a predator. We get lots of requests from people asking us, hey, I think this guy's a predator. This guy did this. We can't do anything. We can't make first contact, and we won't. Even if we know, like, let's say we expose somebody and we know that they're a predator and they're back online, we would never message them again. Hopefully they learned that speaking to children, trying to meet with a child, trying to do the things that they're trying to do with the child is wrong, and they move on and get their life fixed. So we would never try to pin them in a corner and message them again and try to expose somebody who's not a child predator.
Right.
So basically what happens is the predator will message the decoy. Within the first 5 messages, our decoy will say their age and let the predator know. And then sometimes the person will say, hey, you're too young, I don't want to talk to you. Great. They move on, we move on, etc. And a lot of them will initially say that, and we have to give them an out, which is, again, how law enforcement does it. We give them an out. We don't try to entrap them by saying, hey, well, I love you, or, something like that to try to entice them. We give them the out. We give them ways to not talk to us. Like, hey, I understand I may be too young. Not a problem. You don't have to talk to me. And we leave it at that. And if they come back and say, well, it's okay, but you can't tell nobody. That's what a lot of them will say, is they'll come back and groom the child. If you won't tell nobody, I won't tell nobody. Or they'll tell the child, if I get in trouble, you'll get in trouble. So you can't tell nobody this. They try to, play mind games with these children and make them believe that the child's doing something wrong when the child is in fact doing nothing wrong. The child's being a child. So then what happens from there is the decoy will continue to talk with the predator, and we never initiate, like I said, anything. So we don't initiate the contact. We don't initiate any sexual talk. We don't initiate hanging out. The predator initiates all that. So the predator would initiate the contact with the decoy. The predator would initiate anything sexual. We would never ask the predator for nude pictures. We would never ask the predator to send to start anything sexual. Again, it all has to be the predator.
Am I right to assume this is all being recorded as far as,
Correct.
okay, so
Yep. So, and then if there's any anything we do with the predator is recorded, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a text message communication, whether it's a live video, whatever it is, it's all recorded. That way, there's no gaps in the communication between the decoy and the predator. So then, what would happen is the predator would, we have like a checklist that we go through each decoy with each predator. And we try to hit everything on that checklist before we expose the predators. Are there predators that we expose that didn't hit that checklist? Absolutely. Our decoy may talk to them for 2 months, and they know what they're doing is wrong.
it's like months of,
Yeah, it's
holy shit.
It doesn't happen overnight. A lot of people think, well, a predator texts someone, and they say their age, and the predator says, "I want to come get you," and we expose them. We go through a checklist. And what our team does is, let's say there's a predator that doesn't hit everything on that checklist.
Right.
Our team will look over the chat logs, and then we'll make the determination. Well, everyone knows what his intent is. It's pretty clear. Maybe this guy was caught before. Maybe this guy has done this before. He knows what he's doing is wrong. And he just didn't say that maybe necessarily he wanted to have intercourse with them. But he wanted this child to skip school, come over, spend the night at his house, and whatnot. Okay, what 40-some-year-old male or whatever it is would want a 14-year-old, a 13-year-old to come to your house and spend the night for what reason? You
Right.
don't know this child. I mean, the intent's clear.
Is there a like a cut off of what they asked for that's going to make you give you guys the green light to bust? Like, is there a limit of what he can get away with, or if she can get away with, as far as saying until? What's like the trigger point? Is it like is it something illegal like the sex, like the thing?
So if they make any gestures of sex, anything like that, and they make the initiation of meeting up, we'll expose them. If, let's say, the decoy was talking to them for a while and they didn't make anything sexual, we try to get it. So we'll tell the decoy, just keep talking to him. Tell him you can't hang out. Tell him this. Tell him that. And we don't go into detail. I can't go into details of what we say, but
Understood.
We try to lead it out. Otherwise, if the decoy talked to him, we've had, I've personally talked to a guy from the South Metro, and I talked to him for about 2 months. And he wanted to hang out. He wanted to come get me. He just would not say what he wanted to do. I knew what he wanted to do. I mean, it was clear what he wanted to do, but it was just more of an everyday, "Hi, how are you? Hey, when are we going to hang out?" And he just would not open up. And I don't know if he's been exposed before. I don't know if he has been caught.
That's what I was wondering. I guess there's got to be like a more naive predator,
exactly,
that are just easy, like, yeah, come on over, I want to stick my thing in you.
Yeah.
And then there's the ones that are like, yeah, I've watched a lot of that Chris Hansen shit, so I'm gonna fucking work my way through it. And
yeah, we get predators that are just real blunt. "Hey, I want to come over and have sex. I'm gonna come pick you up, and I'm gonna have sex with you in my car." Then we get other predators that are, "Hey, I just want to hang out. I just want to meet you. I just want to see you." And those ones, like I said, we have exposed them that haven't been sexual, but they were on that fine line where they wanted you to come over, spend the night at their house, and make you breakfast in the morning and spend the weekend with you. There's no reason why any grown man should be.
it's clearly
Right.
ulterior motives going on there. How about this? Is there any conversation, or maybe you had an experience already, that would trigger you guys to immediately contact law enforcement? Like, we can't even take our time with this one. We can't bust this guy. There's something here.
So basically, if any of our decoys are talking to a predator and this predator mentions anything that illegal, as in, like, let's say he raped somebody, he's gonna rape somebody, he's gonna commit a heinous act or anything like that, yes, we will contact law enforcement right away, let them know.
Have you had a bust like that yet?
We haven't had one where they said something along those lines. We've had, the predators say, "Hey, I'm a drug dealer, I'm this, I'm that." And yes, being a drug dealer is bad. Yes, it can wreck somebody's life, but it's not something that we would feel like not exposing them over. I think exposing them over them being a child predator versus a drug dealer is a lot bigger.
Right.
But then after we do the exposure, then we turn everything in. The detectives will see that they admitted that they were a drug dealer or whatever it was. But if they were saying, hey, I'm going to go kill somebody, or I'm going to go rape this child, or I raped this child, or something like that, then yes, absolutely. We'll contact law enforcement right away and let them know what we have. And if law enforcement wanted to take over and go from there and didn't want us to do the exposure because it may wreck something, not a problem. We'd hand it over to them and let them take over.
Gotcha. Still going back to kind of like the, step by step, what can you tell me as far as the actual busting time? Like when you're there and I'm watching the video and you're sitting in your car, and then I'm assuming that your security guys are somewhere around and you guys are all in communication. So how much of that, tell me as much of that as you want to tell me.
Right. So yeah, so back to the process. So then after the predator initiates the contact, we're all volunteers. So we have times that we try to do these. Just because I'm a father, I work, I can't be readily available 24 hours a day. I try to be, but I can't. So then we'll go ahead and we'll set up the exposure. And when we set it up, we have a team of security that comes with me. And I will put out to our security guys, hey, we have an exposure. We're going to do it this time and this time. At this date and this time, here's the location. So then we'll all meet beforehand, whether it's at that location, a block away, wherever. We'll go over everything. Justin, my right-hand guy here, he will pull up the chat logs. He will pull up where a picture of the predator. He'll pull up some chat logs where our decoy said their age, where the predator said his age. So that way, because a lot of these predators will say, no, she's 18. She's not 14. She told me she was 18. And we can show them, hey.
You want those go-to facts? No,
right,
here's what it says.
Right here, you clearly said, just be honest, man. We have them, so they know we're not just
guessing or
guess. Yeah, exactly. We have the stuff. We have the screenshots. We have the evidence. Just be honest with yourself. Be honest with everybody. So then our team will set up. We communicate through walkie-talkies. We communicate through Messenger. We communicate through text between our whole team. We drive around. We move around. And a lot of these predators will lie. They will say, I'll be there at 9 o'clock, and at 8:30, they're really there already. They'll tell us they're driving this car, and they're really driving that car. They'll park across the street. They'll check out the area. So we always try to be one step ahead and move around. Check our surroundings first and try to get an idea. Like the exposure I just did yesterday in North Branch, the predator told us he wasn't there. And before I even went live, I spotted him. And I thought the guy was odd, how he was driving around, how he was looking. But he's telling the decoy he's not there. So I didn't think nothing of it until anyways we ended up exposing him, and it was that guy. So it's hard, and especially when they're lying and they're telling you they're this, and this, and they're in this car, we got to be sure. And it's hard, sometimes. But so anyway, so after we get eyes on them, we realize it's them. We try to get them out of the car. And the reason why is because we want to talk to them. Most people, if they stay in their car, their automatic self-defense is I'm going to roll up my window and drive away. Right. We can't stop these people.
Or maybe they have like a gun or something in there too. That's
correct. Yeah, they can reach, grab a gun, anything, hit us with their car, whatever. And we want to talk to them. We don't want to just show their face and have them go home. We want to talk to them. We want to try to talk some sense into them. Wonder why they're doing it. These children are innocent. So that's why we try to get them out of the car. And you'll see on a lot of them, we have eyes on them. We see they're there. We don't want to go up to their vehicle. We'd rather them get out. It's a better chance that they would talk to us. And, I just feel like, we can give them a card, they can get help. Versus if they're in their car, they just roll up their window and drive away. And if you notice, a lot of the ones that were in their car, most of them would just roll up their window and drive away. So that's why we try to get them out of the vehicle.
What happens with one of those? Like when they drive off, is it just like there's nothing you can do? Do you follow them at all? Or
no. So if they roll up their window and drive off, we let them drive. We usually like to keep the camera rolling. That way they can't say that we hurt them or they hurt us.
Exactly.
We won't follow them. We'll let them go. There was one guy that was very, very sick, and he was playing games with the decoy when we were trying to expose him, and we didn't follow him. What we did is we were trying to get up next to him to make sure that that was him, because this guy was so sick. He was talking to like 4 decoys. It was horrible what he was saying to them. We wanted to make sure that it was him in that car, and we couldn't get him out. And so me and Justin ended up following him about 2 blocks, trying to get up alongside of him to make sure that that was him. The picture matched before we turned over that plate to law enforcement with the rest of the stuff. But other than that, no, we're not going to follow him or chase him down and try to cause harm to innocent people and make the guy drive out of there and go crazy.
Right.
So when we go up and expose them, we have a security team. They're in the background, and a lot of times you won't see them, you won't hear them.
I was gonna say, I don't see them in the videos. Do these guys ever see them, like off camera? Are they?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So the predator will see. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes our security team will be in their car parked off to the side, and you won't see them. Sometimes you'll think that they're just a customer inside the store, or they're someone's standing there pumping gas, but in reality, that's our security team. And the reason why they stay off like that is we don't want these guys to feel intimidated. We don't want them to think, hey, why is there 4 guys walking up to me? They're going to harm me. They're going to hurt me. And then something happened.
Or maybe they think they're cops.
Right.
Yeah.
And it spirals out of control. And then the guy grabs a gun or something. Where if I'm just walking up to them and then Justin comes up, it's not as intimidating for them.
Okay.
Our security team, one of the guys is a law enforcement officer, or was a law enforcement officer. He's got 23 years in law enforcement, and that's why we brought him on. He has got crowd control. He was an investigator. He was a detective. He was a police officer. And then another one has got 20-some years in armed security. That background. He's actually going to be a mayor. So it's pretty interesting.
No kidding.
He's a mayor-elect. So
nice. So has there ever been a time where security needed to back you up? Has there ever been any kind of a violent reaction in the times that you've done this?
Thankfully, no. And we hope that it continues that way, that they're more or less just there.
It's got to be like you getting them in deer in the headlights. I'm just looking at their physical mannerisms in the videos, and they're all look terrified, and they're all like, you see their life flashing before their eyes. So you got them off kilter going in.
Right. And, there's been a couple of them where, we pulled backgrounds on them, and they've had, they've had some nasty background stuff that they've done in the past and violent and whatnot, and our team gets worried. And the thing is they're not expecting us. A lot of them don't expect it. So when I walk up to them, they're shocked. Like you said,
how do they know? That's the part that blows me away. I mean, the tragedy of what's going on here is bad enough, but how are you that dumb after however many seasons To Catch a Predator was on, right? And you're promoting what you're doing. I'm sure other groups are promoting. How are these guys so? They just think they're going to get lucky, or is it just that I think that craving is so bad that they don't give a fuck?
It's an addiction, and they've probably done it before, and they got away with it. Sadly enough, that they don't think that we are who we are. They think that that's a real child, and maybe, like I said, they did it before, and. Some of them admitted to it, that they were with a different child before. And that's probably why they had no regard for it. They thought it was going to be a child. They didn't expect us.
Yeah. You give them a card after every interaction that has contact information for people to get help for. What are you sending them to? Where is this help at that?
So
somebody's listening that maybe needs the help.
The card that we give them is national hotline numbers. Okay. There is a Sex Addict Anonymous number on there. There is suicide awareness. I'm not sure. I don't have a card in front of me, but what I did is when we first started, I knew that not all these predators would go to jail. I knew they wouldn't get charged. However, I just felt like publicly shaming them wasn't enough. I wanted them to get help. If they don't go to jail, I want them to get help. I want them to stop. Our whole goal is for them to stop going after our children, to leave our children alone. And so we came up with the idea of, let's make a card. We'll give them a card and say, here's some numbers, call and get some help. I mean, you can tell somebody to go, hey, call this number and get some help. Are they going to look it up? Probably not. But if we hand them a card, they may put that card in their pocket and see it the next day and say, hey, I need to call this number. Or they may call right then and there because they have that number in front of them.
Right.
So that's why we do it. Hopefully they get the help that they need. So
right. You're at least taking one step away from them where they don't have to find the information. Now they've got it. They just got to, take the move to do it.
We want to help them help themselves, leave our children alone.
Do you have any, I'm sure you don't, but I'm going to ask anyway, do you have any statistics of how many people you've given that card to that have, like, you know what, let me go get some help. Let me go figure this out.
I don't know. I've had predators reach out in the past.
And let you know that they got help?
And I've had predators reach out that either said that they went and checked themselves into treatment. They've called the number. They went and checked themselves in on a 72-hour hold because of this. Or they called that number. They're getting help. And that's great. But I don't know the exact number of them.
Gotcha.
I don't.
Now, we talked before we started recording. You talked about a group that you had worked with before starting this group, and that you had they confronted the wrong person, and the fallout for that. So that was one of my questions: was have you ever confronted the wrong person? But maybe you haven't, but something did. Can you tell a little bit about that and maybe what they did wrong? And
right. So I was actually the one that confronted the guy.
Okay.
He was the predator. He lied about his name. We did the exposure. We didn't know his last name, didn't know a lot of info on the guy. He left. A follower had sent in a message and said, hey, I know who that guy was. This is his real name. And that organization that I was with ended up posting this guy's profile, this guy's name on their website or on their page, and said, hey, this is the predator, da-da-da. Well, shit. I went and actually met with the guy that they claimed was the predator. I went to his house.
Was he at that time? Was he aware that he was being exposed to?
Correct. So that's how I went to his house because people are saying it was him. The page had put it up there and published it, and made it public that this was the predator that Josh exposed. So I went there to meet with them because the guy says it's not me. You have the wrong guy. Da 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 da. So I wanted to go there and meet with the guy and talk with him. So I did. Well, come to find out, this guy was innocent. He was not the guy that I met with that night. So his name got dragged through the mud. It was horrible. I can't go into too much details about it,
right?
Because there's lawyers involved. But this guy's life was wrecked, and it could have been possibly wrecked even more. This guy could have, if he had I don't know. About
worst case, somebody would I know who he is. I'm going to
exactly
put a bullet in that guy's head or something.
Exactly. And he was innocent, and that's the worst part about it. So you got to be, that's the problem with this is you got to be very careful. And was there similarities between the two? Absolutely.
So maybe the person that was trying to give you the tip wasn't trying to be.
No, the person that sent in the tip they honestly thought it was this man.
Okay.
They did. But that organization should have waited until they posted and said it was him. They should have let me went and talked to him first. They should have did some more digging, background, stuff like that beforehand. Instead, they just all of a sudden, a follower sent it. Yeah, it looks like him. This has got to be him. Boom, it's him. It's like I said, you can't do that.
Right.
Especially if you don't know it. It'll wreck somebody's life.
Especially if any other crime is almost okay. Yeah, no, I wasn't the drug dealer.
Right.
But to be called a pedophile and especially the way viral media online shit works, it's instant.
It is.
Something like that. I do it. I share your videos and I see multiple people sharing them and multiple interactions, and in an hour you can just destroy somebody's life.
So quick. It's unreal. I know we had one video that we did and an exposure, and I think within about 5 days it had over 100,000 views.
Good God.
It was crazy. I don't know, it's unreal. But yeah, it was within hours of that page putting up his name and his profile, his parents got death threats.
Holy shit.
Within hours of it. It's like I said,
and I'm assuming this experience with this other group is kind of what you built your rules of engagement, so to speak, around?
I was
based on
only
that?
with them for about a week,
Okay.
so I wasn't with them long at all.
Because I noticed on your videos, you're always, you repeatedly tell people, look, we're not here to antagonize the families. It's not the wife's fault. It's not the kid's fault.
Yep, no, that's all us. That organization doesn't.
It seems like you try to do it very organized and as very
Correct, and I try to be
thoughtful as possible.
Exactly. And it's not their parents' fault. It's not their brother's fault, their sister's fault. It's the predator's fault. The predator knows what he's doing is wrong and he shouldn't be there. And we always, get messages from family members or friends of the predators and say, hey, this person's being attacked or their family. And that's not what we want. We don't even want the predator attacked. We want the predator to go to jail. We want the predator to get help. We don't want people threatening him, people going to their house, trying to fight them. We don't condone any violence at all. And that's another reason why we have security too, is not only for my safety, but for the predator's safety. If there happened to be a follower that showed up or seen where we were and came there and tried to fight the guy, that's when our security would step in and stop that too.
Has that ever happened? Have you ever had a quote unquote fan come and try to involve themselves in your investigation because they recognize where you're at?
We've had followers say stuff during our lives, but not try to actually physically fight them or anything like that.
Okay. Where was I going to go next on this here? So what determines from your investigations, the things that you guys do and the information that you collect? I guess I'll two-part this. How soon do you turn this stuff over to cops after you've made a bust with somebody? What's the turnaround time between that and you saying, here's everything we got, here's another one?
So basically after we do the exposure, I cut the live feed. One of our admins goes in, backs up the video, saves it immediately.
Nice.
And then we have a member on our team who is police communications. And what she does is she does all of our communicating back and forth with law enforcement. She sends over evidence. She contacts them. She calls them, faxes them, meets with them. Anything that they need with law enforcement and with us, she gathers all of it from the decoys, from me, whatever. So as soon as we do an exposure, we call law enforcement. We call that city and say, hey, we just did an exposure, this, and this.
I'm sorry, do you alert them before?
We have, yep. So okay. It depends. And the reason why we don't have them on scene is it's a waste of resources.
Right.
That officer comes out. So let's say we did call them. We had them come out. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to make the arrest on scene. They need to go through all the evidence. They need to check stuff. So having them there for 45 minutes to give us a business card with a file number on it is worthless to us. It's a waste of their resources. We'd rather have them readily available for an actual emergency, so that's why we don't do it. When we can just take all that information, send it over right to the detective, and skip that officer wasting 45 minutes of his time. So Catherine will call them, whether it's beforehand or afterhand, explain to them what happened, where it was, give them all the information so they make a report. Then depending on if we have the chat, if Catherine has the chat logs right away or not, she'll send it over right away. Maybe we didn't work with that department. Maybe we don't know who their detective is. So as soon as we figure out who the detective is or whoever is going to work the case, then we send everything over to them right away. Whether it's an hour or the next day, we try to get it to them as fast as possible.
Have you ever had, and this is one of the first questions I thought about, it's like, one of these guys are supposed, especially the one that we saw in Rochester, he just looked terrified. Do they ever try to harm themselves in between the time that you say kick rocks and they're gone and then the cops come to their door? Has that ever happened that you know of? Or
not that I know of.
Okay.
And again, that's why we give them that card. We know that it's depressing, it's humiliating, but it's a child that you were there to meet. And that's what everyone needs to remember is these predators are there to wreck a child's life. If they do half of the stuff that they said they want to do to this child, that child's life's wrecked. What if that child were to commit suicide? Yeah. What if that child, did harm to themselves because of this predator?
Gotcha.
Again, obviously we don't want these predators to commit suicide. We don't want them to hurt themselves or hurt anybody else. We want them to get help, but the child is innocent and that's what matters.
To help illustrate kind of how the intentions and the graphic nature of some of them, can you tell me what they say? Give some examples of as much as you're comfortable saying, just so the listener will have some kind of tangible feel for what you guys are seeing and why this is not just you just messing with somebody, and antagonizing these guys. Why it's so important.
It's anywhere from, we've had predators want the decoys to call them daddy, want them to, call them names, play games with them as far as like sex games, be like a slave to them, send them nude pictures, tell them they're gonna, we've had predators tell the decoys, I'm gonna, basically pimp you out. You're going to be my one and only, and I'm going to, have guys pay me to have sex with you as long as you're okay with it. They groom them. There's, it's sickening to see. I've literally been eating at dinner, and a predator messaged me, and I quit eating. I lost my appetite because it's just so sick.
That's crazy. You have multiple phones, and these guys have access to, at least one of your phones. And you're trying to live your life. You're trying to do, be a dad to your kid or kids, whatever you got. And then you got to just jump into this fantasy of these guys at any given moment.
Yeah, and it's not like it's a 9 to 5. These predators message you when they want, throughout the night, all day, whenever. So,
how does this affect your health? How are you?
It takes a toll mentally.
You've got to change you.
Everything.
Does it interfere with your life now? Is this way or?
It takes a lot of time. I've taken time off of work to focus on this because we've seen how big of an epidemic it is. It's huge. It's unreal.
I was just saying it. I was with a friend last night, and I was telling him about you and getting ready to do this interview. And I'm like, you just started your group in October, right?
Yep.
Okay. So in that time, how many have you busted?
Close to 50.
50 since October.
50. Yeah.
That's more than I expected, and I thought it was going to be a lot. And I'm watching you put up these videos. I'm like, holy shit, this is one group in one geographical, area.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have any idea what the statistics are nationwide, like between the other groups? How many of these guys are busting? Because eventually we're going to run out of human beings to bust at this rate. Because you're doing 50 in a few months. Holy shit!
I don't know how many. I know there's a lot of them out there. A lot of groups that do it as well that are just now coming up, which is great. They're seeing the movement. They want to do something. Obviously, I can't go all across the country and do it.
Right.
Neither can the other groups, and that's why they're coming up local and they're doing it. Some groups, have a couple. Some have one. I don't know exactly how many they have, but there was one day where we did 5 exposures in 4 hours, 5 hours.
Holy shit!
We did 5 exposures. It was on a Friday about a month ago. Started out about 10 in the morning till 2 p.m. or something like that. We did 5 exposures. It was a crazy day.
Holy shit!
We're on predator time.
I have so many questions going through my head right now. What is the youngest decoy that they thought they were talking to as far as age?
12 years old.
12 years old. Is that a cutoff for you guys, or is it just
Nope.
It just happened to be what it was that time, and
just happened to be. Yep. So we've had decoys portray themselves as 10 years old. As 10 years old. Thankfully, the guy didn't talk to them, didn't get sexual, didn't. He maybe said a couple messages back and forth, and then realized it was wrong and blocked him and moved on.
Okay.
But we, anywhere from 10 to 15 years of age is where our decoys are.
I want to ask this kind of weird. What was the most successful bust? And by successful, I mean, who was the most egregious offender, prior history? Did you guys, or maybe you haven't found that stuff out, was there anybody that you busted and like, holy shit, we're really glad you got this guy because he's been doing this and he's been to prison before for it or whatever? And
there was one guy named Ed that we did. He's been exposed twice by me.
Okay, that was the video I shared yesterday. Yeah.
Yep. So I exposed him once, and then exposed him again, and he was the same way with the decoys when I decoyed. So I decoyed the first one. I exposed him. Then another decoy decoyed him again, meaning he contacted the decoy. And
what was the time span between the two?
About 2 weeks.
Holy shit!
So he got exposed, and 2 weeks later, we were exposing him again.
Okay. Well, my question was, why didn't he get? What prevented the cops from arresting him for the first exposure?
The reason why I don't believe he's in custody yet is there's multiple investigations against him.
Okay.
And we found this out after the fact.
So it wasn't like they just said, fuck him. They're
Right.
like, they're working on it.
Right.
But they can't do it in 2 weeks. Apparently this guy's got much more work ethic than...
I think
Jesus Christ.
I think there's a lot more involved with this guy.
Oh my God.
I think law enforcement wants to make sure that they have a rock solid case against him, and that's why, unfortunately, he's still walking the streets.
He still is now.
As of right now, yes.
Holy fuck.
Like I said, I
Ed, get some
believe
help,
there's like
buddy.
3 counties that are investigating him.
All
we
for the
know
similar charges?
For I can't say on the
Okay,
charges,
I got
but
you, I got you.
very it's close to for what we do. Yes.
Okay. Ever bust anybody famous? Politician? Friend or family member?
Not that I know of. No.
Shit. What about ladies?
We have not busted a female predator yet. However, we do talk to female predators. We just haven't exposed one yet. They're not as... I don't know. It seems like they're slower moving. They don't like a...
Is it more methodical or more fear of doing it?
I don't know what it is. I don't know. It seems like the guy predators are more just like, hey, I want to come have intercourse with you. Let's go do it. Where a woman predator more wants to talk everyday life. I don't know. They're just not as blunt about it.
Okay.
So
much like regular dating in that
yeah,
aspect.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh
They're
my
still
God.
a predator, but they hold back, I think.
Holy cow. Any other kind of, what was like maybe the weirdest or time you were worried, or any kind of weird experience that you had that resulted in an interesting anecdote, or is it?
I guess a weird one was we had a predator come in to meet a child, and the predator's car broke down and on the highway. So I was sitting there at the location waiting to meet the predator, and he told the decoy the car broke down. I didn't believe him. I said, yeah, he's probably not coming. It's just whatever. I said, I'm going to go. And I said, well, actually have him send you a screenshot of where he's at, because he's told her where he was. And he's on 169 and 494 or something. I said, have him send you a screenshot. Or first I thought he was on 494 and 35, but ended up being on down there. And so I said, I'll go down there and drive by and see if he's there. And so the decoy ended up saying that she was going to have a sister or friend go down there to pick him up or something, to give him a jump start, whatever was wrong.
Right.
So I ended up going there, and sure enough, he's on the side of the road, broke down.
Holy shit.
And so we exposed him on the side of the road, and he ended up walking across 169. And I don't know what ended up ever happening to him, but we
Right.
exposed him on the side of the highway.
Well, number one rule of being a pedophile, make sure you have an operating vehicle. It's not going to break down if you're going to do this.
Yeah, karma at its best.
Yeah, no shit. Jesus. Is there an average car? Do pedophiles like a certain kind of car? Have you done the stats on that? Like,
no.
this guy's really like
Predators-
Ford Broncos. I don't know what it is.
These predators drive all different cars, and the craziest part is it's, most of the time people think, hey, I can, this guy's this guy or this. These predators, they blend in.
Right.
They're hard to. There's predators that are everyday working guys. There's predators that are pharmacists. They're pharmacy technicians. They're business owners.
There's cops.
There's cops.
get busted. It's everywhere.
Predators blend in. It's it's not like they all wear red caps.
Right. Which would be very weird at this time of
Right.
in history, but yeah.
I wish they did, so we all could
Be a little bit easier,
easily
like,
spot them. Yes.
like, hey, I'm a kid fucker. I got my badge. Good God. What about socioeconomic stuff? Like, of the people that you've busted or been part of, is there all economic levels? Do you've got guys that are making $200-300 grand a year versus guys, making 35?
Yeah, like I said, we busted a business owner, and we've busted a dollar store worker, or someone that works retail, fast food retail. So we've busted both. I don't think it. Like I said, it's
Anybody that worked with kids, like a teacher or
whatever.
whatever.
Not I'm trying to think here. I don't believe so. However, you maybe see one very soon,
Okay.
which works with kids, maybe in a school, maybe a teacher.
Actually, remind people right now, because I'll say it in the beginning and outro of the podcast when I record it, but since we're on the subject right now, where do you want people to go to find out what you're doing? Where do you want to send people to?
You can check us out on Facebook, Predator Hunters USA.
Okay.
Otherwise, our Facebook or our website is www.predatorhunterusa.com. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We have a website. So,
Okay. And every bust you do, you live stream it, right? Is that?
Yep.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you wanna watch it, follow it, be notified. Facebook and then YouTube. So we always go live from our Facebook when we do an exposure, and we're trying to go live from YouTube and from other platforms as well. So we're live from 3 different platforms. You can see 3 different angles during the exposure.
It'd be more time, but do you guys ever, and you've already got a lot of time dedicated to this, but ever considered like doing like a podcast, just as far as just helping spread the message and all that stuff? But it seems like it would be like an ongoing like report thing and
Right.
help people understand that, dude, here's today's stats. We've got 16 of them in Bloomington, Minnesota. You might want to put a fence around your house or something. You know?
No, I haven't thought about that.
That would be
I've been
interesting.
focused on this. Our whole team's amazing. We have a huge team, and a lot of people just see me behind the camera, and it's not just me. I mean, we have a whole team that dedicates hours and time, and these members go and meet with police officers as well. They talk with the predators. They're with me every step of the way, and you just don't see them.
Right.
But it's not just me, and I would never take credit for that. If we didn't have the team that we had, we wouldn't be where we are today, and I wouldn't be busting these predators.
Is law enforcement across the board always open to this? Have you had any negative response from them?
The biggest concern that we've had from law enforcement is our safety.
Yeah,
That's the biggest thing that we've heard back from them is safety. We're worried about your safety, Josh. We're worried about your safety, and that's why, like I said, we recently brought on a retired police officer. He's been in high danger areas. So we brought him on as more. He would know how to handle something if it were to spiral out of control. He's done it versus just any John Doe as security. Maybe they've never been under a high stress situation and they don't know what to do and they freak out. We don't want that. We want everything to be calm, and the whole area to be, good.
Right. Understand. How about this? Because you give them the card that's got help on there they can go to. What are your thoughts on rehabilitation? I honestly, I don't know. I haven't read studies on what's being done and all that. So maybe you know that better than I do. But is every guy or gal, when you run into them, are they all lost causes, or is there varied degrees here? Or what are we, as the problem is fixing the problem, what are we as a society looking at in your point of view?
A lot of people will say that you can't rehabilitate them, and I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to that. I don't know what the numbers are. Our goal, our hope is that we can rehabilitate them and they will take that card and get the help. Drug addicts can be rehabilitated. Alcoholics can. Why can't a child predator?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe they can't. Maybe it's...
And I'm not. I don't want to try to force you into taking a position on it.
Right.
But do you think it's more of an addiction thing, a sex-based addiction thing, or is it psychological? To me, it's like it seems like
both.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like it's I don't know. It's them. It's their choice. I don't know if, maybe some of them it is addiction, maybe some of it's psychological. I don't know. Maybe.
Is there any university like Minnesota University or any place doing any kind of studies that are coming to you guys and looking for input?
Not yet. And again, like I said, we're that's what we're focusing on is getting into schools. We want to get to the root of it. We want to know why. Are these predators, maybe the predator was a victim and so they think it's okay to do this. Maybe I don't know. That's what we want to do, though, eventually, is maybe, a university does do study, and we have all this information we can give them, and hopefully they can figure out
I hope
why.
there's somebody out there already doing that. Seems like there
Yeah.
should be a large amount of
There
money
should be.
going to it.
Absolutely, I agree.
Holy shit. Something else I wanted to kind of ask. Okay, so again, you're a father. What level of concern should the parents have right now, as far as what's going on, with these predators, and what is your best recommendations as far as what they need to do? What things that you're doing now, maybe based on what you've learned and what you've experienced. What protective measures you're putting up. How deep into your kid's business, if you got like a little bit older kid, should you go without being too, tell me what you would recommend to parents, I guess is what I'm saying.
Our biggest thing is check your children's devices. Remember, you're the parent, they're the child. They may think that you're being overprotective or you're being this. What you're doing is you're protecting your child. You're protecting their life. These predators lie. They tell these children, and your child may think they're talking to another child, and it could be a predator. A 50-year-old male, but he's telling your child that he's a 14-year-old boy, whatever it may be.
Right.
What I would say is check your children's devices. Talk to them. Don't keep it from them. Explain it to them. Show them our videos. We try to keep our videos very PG so children can watch. We want them to see. We want them to know what happens, so they are aware, so they're not blindsided by it. The internet is a crazy place.
Yeah.
It is. These apps are crazy. You don't know who you're really talking to.
The being anonymous, it changes something in your psyche, even if you're not a pedophile. Like I've known it myself. Like you get those thread battles about something political or something.
Right.
Like I'm not going to talk like that. In person.
Exactly.
So you
it'll change you. Keyboard
so I think
warriors,
anybody
whatever.
who has that defect and wants to do this, the internet definitely helps that and allows that and insulates them and gives them that I don't know, that sense they can get away with it a little bit more, because it's not just some, like in the movie of some dude walking up to a park trying to give away candy,
exactly.
that kind of thing.
Yep. No, I agree 100%. And that's why we always say, check your children's devices, talk with them, show them the videos. Just be careful,
Gotcha. And get a dog to bark in the middle of your park. He probably sees a deer in the backyard. Anyway, anything else that you want to do, like a final close-off message that you want to say? You want to send a message to any potential, predators out there or anything?
Just know we're here. We are out there. If you are a predator and you are preying on our children, you will be exposed. We will expose you, and you may get away with it once before. You may have gotten away with it, but we're here, and we're not going to stop. And to leave our children alone and kick rocks.
All right, good. Thank you for your work, and stay safe.
Thank you.
Well, there we go. That episode is over. If you were like me during the episode and in listening back to it, your skin is probably crawling right now, right? With the thoughts and images of what's going on in this one relatively small geographical area as far as the amount and number of pedophiles operating. Is that what you'd call it? Operating in this area? Like it's some kind of fucking business? Yeah. Again, Filter Free America was here to bring you stories about people that we share this country with, or this planet with. I mean, I'll interview people outside of the country, of course. But this one here, it just, God, it's why I couldn't make a lot of jokes during the episode, because I was a little dumbstruck, to be honest, and I didn't want to cloud up the message and what he was saying with a lot of dumb dick jokes and silly shit that I can do in other episodes. And of course, I want to make him feel as comfortable as possible. But if you don't walk away from this episode, or roll away if you're in a wheelchair, without feeling a little shocked, I don't know, man, or maybe you just knew more than I did. Maybe I was just naive. I was like, yeah, I know that these people exist, but I didn't know it was quite to this number. So yeah, What are you going to do? I don't know. As society advances, as technology advances, we're going to run into more and more problems like this, right? And when I mean technology, I mean this technology is a tool that's being used and maximized to its fullest potential to do hurtful things to people, kids and otherwise. So while it's great to have advancements and everything, it's really horrible to keep pushing for advancement without addressing, the stops along the way, right? And I think people like Josh are the ones who are actually doing that work, right? Like they're cleaning up the mess created by a capitalism-driven society that only sees advancement as profit potential and not considering, literal victims that are going to be left on the wayside as advancement happens. Again, this is not me saying we need to stop advancing as a society. We need to slow down our technology advancement. No, but we need to also look at the things that are going to be a result of this advancement in technology, and look at it for more than just the profit potential, I guess is what I'm saying, right? Also, we as a society need to look at, the human element here and understand what's going on, because this is a huge number of individuals, of humans. And I'm saying dudes, but it means females too, are causing these pain and problems for children. And God, like I said, this episode has given me a new perspective and a new concern, as if I needed anything else to be more concerned about the sheer number. Again, I advise you, please go to their website, predatorhunters.com, or go to their Facebook page, which is also Predator Hunters USA. Excuse me, it was predatorhuntersusa.com. That's the website. And their Facebook page is also Predator Hunters USA. And just take time to appreciate the sheer volume of people that they are busting. Okay? Just take that in, and it should shake you to the core as it has me. All right. Again, thank you to simplewebsite.us. Simplewebsite.us is our sponsor. They also are the ones that put together my website, which is filterfreeamerica.com. Go check it out, see what kind of work they do, then contact them if you're ready to get some help with your building a website on Squarespace. Anything else? I don't know. I love you guys. I love all you listeners. There's been a tremendous amount of growth over the last few months, and it's going crazy right now. Both the Facebook page and just number of hits for the episodes, and the number of shares that I'm getting and interactions that I'm getting online. I really appreciate it. You guys are embracing something that's very important to me, something I work very hard on. And please understand, I'm very, very grateful for each and every one of you who are listeners, who are helping me promote the show, contributing to the show in every kind of way. I really appreciate that, because you're helping me achieve something I wanted to achieve, and couldn't do without you. So I thank you. Again, take care of yourselves. Take care of the people you love. Spade and neuter your pets and children, and keep seeking the truth. Bye-bye.